sitting in a position that feels good to you. And if it's comfy for you, close your eyes and just take a moment to arrive here and notice how you feel today. And for many of you on your 4th day of mindful yoga, and for some of you on your 1st day of mindful yoga, but notice how things feel. And notice potentially what has shifted and how you're feeling today about today and the days and weeks and months and years ahead. Noticing that we do have some choice and some agency in what that feels like. And with that, we'll take a huge deep breath in and out to long and smooth, and settle in for a few moments of grounding and reflecting. And my invitation this morning is hands face down on your thighs, or 2 hands on your heart, or 1 hand heart, 1 hand belly. You choose, knowing what works for you, what feels more stabilizing and grounding for you. And we'll take a minute to reconnect to the breath and to consider what's helpful for each of us amongst challenging times, or what we think might be challenging times. What feels good to you? Is it hands on heart, hand to heart, hand to belly, your sit bones on the earth? Little and big things that help you restore, reset, rebalance, recalibrate, recharge, renew, all the re's. Being very clear today about what those are. And while these bumpy times are part of life, remembering what we do have within us, what tools and resources, including things like mindfulness, but also including things like people, and including things like nature, and including things like hands, physical hands on your heart, or closing eyes. Reacquainting yourself with the tools that you have at the ready, whether there's yoga every day or not. What tools do you have within you that you know that help? Charlie Mackesy says, when dark clouds come, focus on what you love right under your nose. And that might be people you love. It might be flowers. It might be trees. It might be sunshine. It might be friends. It might be community. It might be coming here to join me for yoga. It's a really helpful thought. What is it that you love? What renews you? What centers you? And I woke up this morning remembering that on election day, I was here with 6 amazing women who were here for a retreat. And it was not planned to be that way, but boy, was it helpful. And doing something that you love with amazing humans that feel aligned and are there supporting each other can be a really powerful experience. And so how can you set yourself up for that? Little micro moments, bigger moments. And my call to action on that is to actually plan ahead, actually set myself up for that and others up for that. And so thinking in your life, how can you move forward from today, whether it be the rest of today, the rest of the week, the rest of 2025, supporting yourself well, caring for yourself well. When we do that, we can care for others, care for our communities, care for our loved ones. But most importantly, we simply feel better. Taking in a big, deep breath, caring for yourself with this simple breath and letting it out. Notice if you want to move your hands at this point. Maybe they want to be in a different spot. Relearning how to listen to yourself. And if what yourself offers sometimes is negative thoughts, guilt, shame, blame. Someone in the Curious About Coaching session last night brought up this idea of feeling guilty that they were okay when others weren't okay as we move forward. And recognizing whether that guilt serves us and does it bring us to a place where we can bring our best forward to be a problem solver or solutions focused. And so instead, what feelings help you do that? So maybe you want to connect with things that inspire you, or hope, things that bring you hope, things that bring you energy, things that bring you love so you can share love. So connecting with your resources, what you know, what you love. And for almost every human, that includes other humans. And for that, I am beyond grateful to all of you for showing up to practice with me as often as I want to practice, it appears, and for showing up for each other. I hear from so many that showing up in person adds this whole value to the experience, but the recordings are great, but being here together is a different experience. And so taking a moment to let yourself be nourished by being here together. And consider how else you might put yourself in situations where you can be there together, whatever that means for you. Be together with others who think and feel in ways that support you, that make you feel seen and valued, appreciated, loved, cared for. For each of us, that looks different, but there are spaces and places out there if we prioritize it. And most of us are not used to prioritizing that. We are very comfortable being uncomfortable, very comfortable struggling and suffering. And my invitation today is to potentially let go of that. It's a habit that is a challenge to maintain and be healthy. And so this health begins with you, peace begins with you, caring begins with you. It all begins with each of us inside of ourselves and what we gift ourselves so we have things available to share with others. So taking in a breath that feels good to you, gift yourself the breath, the energy, the flow, the spaciousness, and exhale, releasing all those old sticky habits that might be better left behind today. Breathing in and enjoying your chest rise and your body fill with good stuff. And breathing out those things that we know don't work. Fear, over responsibility, suffering and struggling and focusing on things out of our control. Breathing in the things that you can do something about, that support you, that help others. Letting go of the rest. And when you feel complete with this, bringing hands together, rubbing them together, creating heat and energy and movement. And bring thumbs to sternum, finger pads to the sky, pressing each finger together, enjoying it, experiencing it, pressing your palms together, noticing the power and the energy there. And take a moment to connect to your intention as you move forward. Let whatever flies into your head here be the thing. And acknowledge it, connect with it, and consider prioritizing it. Lowering hands and open your eyes. And take a moment to do what your body needs, to wiggle after sitting for a few moments. And we'll shrug our shoulders up tight, drop our occiput into the shoulders, creating some energy and release. And drop your shoulders, letting your fingers reach towards the floor. And notice today, perhaps, how that feels so very different than it did a few days ago, for those of you who've been coming every day. Taking a breath and enjoying the shift and the change. We'll reach our arms out and up towards the sky. Interlace your fingers, flip your palms to the sky, have a shimmy. Roots downward, rise taller. Huge breath in. Exhale, tip leftward, root the right hip down, stretch and enjoy. All the while noticing how your body may feel different today. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale gently to the other side, not pushing or overdoing, gently enjoying. Letting this entire practice today feel good to you. Focusing on what feels good, what renews you. Come back to center, slight arch back and round forward. Suck your belly back, press your hands forward. Inhale, reach up, slight arch back. And exhale, round forward. Suck your belly in, enjoying every nook and cranny, every tiny muscle fiber, feeding yourself the energy and the stretch and the movement. Reaching up towards the sky. We'll open our arms out to the sides and come into eagle arms, right elbow under left. Lift up to shoulder height, pause. Press elbows against each other. Notice the difference today. And exhale, release. Little by little, things shift. What we practice grows. Inhale, lift up an inch, and exhale, round into your belly. Fold forward. Drop your head. Enjoy it. Lift up and untangle. Press your hands into the sidewall. Stretch your fingers wide. Pinch your scapula. Enjoy it. Relax. And crisscross the opposite way for eagle. Pose and enjoy your shoulders. Big breath into the interscapular space, bathing the muscle fibers that are there today that were hidden before. Subtle is significant. 1% change can make a big difference. Someone mentioned that last night in the coaching session that they had learned. And it's true, 1%, a little looser, a little softer. Letting that be a win. Caring for yourself with 1% change. We don't have to change everything all at once. Lifting elbows up an inch and round forward. Suck your belly and roll down. Relax. Huge breath in. One breath can make a difference. Exhale, let it out. Inhale, come back upright and untangle. We'll lower our hands to our sacrum. Interlace your fingers, press your fists down, straight elbows, and drop your chin, sending some love to the chin here. Pressing fists downward. Bring chin back to neutral. Gaze leftward and drop your chin gently to your shoulder. This is kind of a stretch for your SCM and your traps. So breathe and don't overdo it. A little goes a long way here. Bring chin back to neutral, come back to center, gaze rightward and drop your chin towards your shoulder. Breathe into your neck muscles. When we're stressed, we hold our heads with a lot of energy and tension. Letting your head holding be less overwhelming. Reaching your chin back to neutral and come back to center and shake your head out right and left. Release hands, shaking them out. Letting go of some of this tension everywhere. Rolling shoulders 3 times and forward 3 times. Take a moment once again to pause in stillness, potentially close your eyes, notice already a shift. And remembering this thought that peace begins with you, calm begins with you, health begins with you, change begins with you. It always does begin with us, but reconnecting to that agency, what we can do in whatever is ahead for all of us. And taking a breath in here to reconnect with that power of community, what we can do, not just what you can do. It begins with you, but what we can do together. Enjoying that sense of community near and far, even on Zoom or YouTube, knowing all of the people who took this class originally or joining, taking it later, sometimes thousands of you. Sometimes it's teens of you, always different. Breathing in and out. And open eyes if you happen to close them, and stretch your legs long in front. Banging out your knees. And we will bend our right knee, hug it in towards you, and find your sit bones, have a little rock, and move the belly out of the way if you need, and hug your knee in even tighter. Lift your foot off the floor, wiggle toes, hug it, squeeze it. Use your belly to tilt and sit upright, crown of the head reaching to the sky, squeezing it in tight, tight, tight. Pick up your foot, bring it to the outer left thigh, and you'll bring your left hand, wrap it around your knee and twist rightward, not overdoing it, the first twist of the day. And we haven't been doing very many twists in this series because I have been taking good care of my back. And so enjoy it. Inhale and grow tall, twist gently, but not too much. Noticing that this sort of awkward pretzel-like pose can feel good, and you are strong and stable even in it. Untwist and do a counter twist, easy to the left, gentle and kind. A little goes a long way. We'll come back to center, pick up your foot, bring it to the right side, grab the outer edge of the right foot and straight that leg long. And you may or may not be able to straight it long at this moment. You can even bend and straight. If you wish and you have room, twist to the right and enjoy the IT band. Potentially shift the sole of your foot in either direction. Letting a little bit of movement in here as we practice yoga. These tiny little micro movements, ways to get yourself unstuck and invite shift and change. Tiny little bits can make a huge shift. Sole of the foot to the right and to the left. Find your ischial spines and grow tall. Twist a tiny bit farther to the right if you have room. And bend your knee down, come back to center. You'll bring the sole of your foot into the inner left thigh. Move the flesh of the seat out of the way. Your knee is at 90 degrees here. Find your belly and reach your arms up to the sky. Twist towards the left foot and fold over towards your ankle, outer edge of your foot, wherever you land. Let this feel good. Don't overdo it. Enjoy the right rib cage, creating space for the breath so you can care for your lungs and your body, sending the breath everywhere. Enjoy the upper waist, the lower back. Wiggle toes. Slowly slide up the left leg, and we'll come into wild thing because it's fun. And reach up and stretch, rolling your wrists. Inviting a little bit of that resistance, energetic fun, even in the midst of who knows what. Lowering your hips down. Come back to center, straight the right leg and have a little bang here with the knees and slowly slide forward. You can hinge at the waist or round. You choose what your back enjoys here. And it may be different now than it is in a half an hour. Sliding up, and you'll bend your left knee, hug it all the way in. Use this as a way to activate your core. Find your sit bones, hug the knee in, move your belly out of the way, lift your foot up off the ground, tilt your pelvic bowl forward, and grow tall as you can to the sky. Huge breath in. Exhale, let it out. And you'll pick your foot up, bring it over to the right side. Find your sit bones. Even yourself out. Wrap your right arm around the left knee and twist leftward. Some of you may be able to put your hand on the inside of the knee as well. Do what your shoulders like. Might be different here than it was before. Lifting crown of your head to the sky, sitting tall, growing, stretching a little bit, and recognizing that the growth and the stretch can feel good, even when we feel twisted up like a pretzel. Breathe in and out. Maybe even bringing in a little bit of that horse's breath, where you have the little bubbles at the end. Untwist, counter twist, always taking care of you. Shifting back to center, pick up your foot, bring it back to the inside of on the left side, and you'll grab the outer edge of the left foot and stretch it long. Start facing forward. Don't overdo it. Enjoy the energy shift in the leg. You can even massage your outer left leg. And when it feels right, inhale, sit tall, twist left. You might twist a little or a lot. Press your heel all the way forward. And take a moment here. Potentially close your eyes. Notice how you feel. Notice the energy move. Notice what's happening inside. Notice if you're feeling more energized than you were to start already. Bend your knee, lower it down, twist forward, rock on your hips, find center, and bring the sole of your foot into the right inner thigh. Find your belly, reach your arms up and twist rightward and fold over wherever it feels good. It may be completely different on this side. You may want to wrap your right fingers into the left hip crease. You may be able to reach your toes or not. Explore and play with it. There's no right way. Our brains like right and wrong. And remember, no struggling or suffering. It's a habit. We think it's good. It gets us somewhere good. It gets us unhappy and hurt and tired. Untangle. Slowly slide up. Left hand comes behind the left hip. Drop your right toes to the left and lift up to wild thing. Invite a little play, a little softness. Let it feel good. And lower back down to center. Bang your knees out. And we'll bring our hands behind us into staff pose or dandasana. Move the flesh of your seat out of the way. Find your sit bones. Bring your hands behind you like cupcakes. Press the fingers like you don't want to squish the frosting on the cupcakes. Press your fingers into the floor. Drop your shoulders down and back. Elbows straight and grow as tall as you can. Engage your legs. Engage your toes. Spread your toes wide. Tons of energy. Sitting tall in this staff pose. Connecting with all of your inner strength, inner wisdom. Puffing your chest out forward. Bathing the heart and the chest and the belly with breath. Exhale, letting it out. And release. Wiggle toes, roll wrists. And we will sweep our feet around and come to hands and knees. Enjoy your cat-cow if you want one. Just letting yourself arrive here, giving yourself that transition. Ground into the left hand, spread your 5 fingers wide, reach your right arm up, and we'll come into thread the needle. Right ear will land on the floor, and enjoy a moment of twist and release, and let your left hand reach long. Let it feel good. Once again, wrapped up in a pretzel, all these things happening can feel amazing. Bring your left hand back by your face. Untangle, reaching tall, come back to hands and knees. Find your knees, have a rock, reach the left hand up and thread that needle through once again. Left ear lands on the floor, stretch your right arm long. Take a moment. You may also gaze out under the armpit, just a different perspective. And when that feels complete, bring your hands by your face, untangle, lift up. And we'll come back to hands and knees. Steady yourself here. Reach your right leg long. Find that belly, even your pelvis out so it is flat to the floor. Inhale, raise your right leg to hip height and pause. Find your steadiness. Notice if you need to rearrange your hands. Always taking time to move forward steady within. There is time. We're always in a hurry, but there's time. Reach the left hand long, stretching long, long, long in either direction. Enjoying the long line here. Huge breath in from fingers to heels to toes. Exhale, let it out. Once again, inhale from fingers to heel. Exhale, bring your knee to nose underneath you, this sort of balancing, and stretch long. We'll do that 2 more times. Enjoy your back, bring elbow to knee, and stretch long. And once more, elbow to knee, and stretch long. Noticing where you are inside and where the center is and how it feels. Roll ankle and wrist. Lower left hand, right knee. Waggle your hips. And we'll do the other side. Take a minute to plant your left hand. Take good care of your wrist. Stretch your left leg long and raise it a little below hip height so there's not a big arch in your back. Press the heel into the back wall. Before you move on, notice your hips, and if they're wonky, adjust them. And when you're ready, reach your right arm long. Connecting to this inner strength, inner wisdom, and envisioning you strengthening your inner self. With the breath, with the stretch. Inhale, reaching long in either direction. Exhale, reaching even longer. Inhale once again. Exhale, the elbow to knee. And we'll do this 3 times. Let the flow feel good. Taking care of you, letting this be an energy increaser, not decreaser, maybe a waking up. Press long, reach long, enjoy your hips, roll ankle and wrist, and lower down. Waggle your hips here. Lower hands to puppy pose or melting heart, and lower your forehead to the floor. Enjoy your shoulders and let your heart literally melt to the floor. Send the breath to your heart space. Walk your elbows a smidge forward and enjoy a little more release if you have room in your shoulders. Walk your hands back Lifting back up to hands and knees. We'll slide forward on our belly, coming to Sphinx pose. Press the fronts of your hips into the floor, palms into the floor, forearms into the floor, tops of the feet into the floor, and your heart shines forward. Strengthening the lower back. A strong back supports your strong core, which keeps you standing tall and keeps you feeling grounded and calm and strong on the inside as we move forward. Holding your hands in front of you, bring your forehead onto your wrists and lower down flat for a moment. Taking out the right hand, bend your right elbow and bring it in towards you, the ankle, and stretch your thigh. And breathe. Wiggle toes. Release the right foot and the right hand and switch to the left side. Release the left thigh. And lower the left foot. Bring hands to either side of your face and press back to child's pose. Knees apart, toes together. Release the lower back. Stretch as long in front as you can. Have a little shimmy. One finger moves forward and then the other. Lower forehead to the floor. Let your hips sink as down far low as you can. And while you're here, forehead on the floor, connecting once again to your resources. What you love, who you love, what re-energizes, refills, restores, rejuvenates you. Where are your communities? Where are the people it feels good to spend time with? Who are the people that give you energy? And perhaps setting an intention to step out of the struggling and suffering and feeling guilty and saving, and instead into showing up strong and bright, like that lighthouse we talked about, finding some joy amidst working for better. Slowly walk your hands back towards your face, and we'll lift up to hands and knees and into downward dog. Let it feel really good. Walk the dog. Sometimes our dogs need a long walk. Lifting up onto our tippy toes. Reach the sit bones as high as you can. Press into your hands. Press your hips all the way back. And lower heels to the floor. Forehead comes to the floor. Let this feel good. That's not too much. Bend the left knee. Press your right heel to the floor where it goes. And switch sides. Bend the right knee. Press the left heel to the floor. And come back to center. Lift both heels up to the sky as high as you can. And lower them down towards the floor. Enjoy this. Begin to walk your hands little by little towards your feet. Come into a forward fold. Grasp hands on either side. Sway, bend one knee and then the other. Release the back. Be really kind to yourself. Notice what here refills you. Maybe it's a forward and backward sway. Maybe it's a twist. Maybe it's stillness. And if you have a block, put it in underneath your forehead, taking a moment to ground and center you. If you don't have a block, you can take both hands, press together, and press your head
forehead into the dorsal side of one hand, and the palmar side of the other hand presses up. Grounding under your forehead or your third eye is a very powerful action when you feel worried. It gives you energy. Lift up all 10 toes. Spread them wide, root them downward, sending your roots for stability and strength, connecting to the energy of the earth and connecting to the energy of everyone here. Lowering hands if they're on your forehead, moving the block if it's underneath you. Use your belly here and unroll inch by inch by inch by inch, taking exceptional care as you stand. Gifting yourself time to adjust, adapt, re-equilibrate. I love this word, recalibrate. When you find yourself knocked off kilter, can you recalibrate? Rolling wrists gently, lifting up all 10 toes, sending the roots down here, down into the earth, and in your mind's eyes, send those roots out to everyone here practicing with us. Everyone here who is available for support and care and love as we move forward. And included in those roots are the people you love, right under your nose, near and far for some of us, wrapping them in your web of care and support and community, and spreading out those roots to anyone else out there in your community of support, whoever they might be, drawing your attention to them. And if you're finding your community of support smaller than you'd like, perhaps setting an intention as we move forth to growing that community, with intention joining a community that will help you and support you, like this. Opening eyes, reaching arms out and up. Bring your palms together and drip them down to heart center. Press the thumbs into the sternum, taking a moment to connect to the heart space. Open eyes, let the light in, and lower your hands. We're going to do tree pose again because it keeps calling to me. So there's something about it that's going to help us move forward. Not sure what, but that doesn't matter. We'll lift up our right toes, root them downward. Send those roots downward and sending them out to your football field of support as the redwoods do. Kickstand your left heel. Bring your hands back to that heart center, pressing the thumbs together and into the sternum, creating support, lines of support from your heart down through your belly to your foot, and slowly raise the left sole of the foot. Some of you may want to raise it up to hip height. Some of you, your hips might enjoy a more square tree. Draw the left knee back a wee bit. And if it feels good, reach your arms up. Some of you may want to stay here, hands at heart. Notice what feels good and do that. And we'll breathe 5 long, deep breaths here. Pouring the breath into every nook and cranny, noticing how stable your tree is. I often talk about being like a tree and potentially being a tree as we move forward here. Lots of value in the wisdom of trees. Maybe we'll do that class again soon. I love that theme. And bringing your hands to heart and draw your knee forward and lower it down. Rolling the wrists and the ankles, switch sides. Lift all 5 toes on that left foot, root them down, send your roots out to everyone else, and kickstand that right heel. Sliding the sole of the foot up into the calf, and bring your hands to heart. Find your steady, find your balance. Let it feel amazing. If it would feel amazing, not because taller is better or more is better, you can stretch your arms up. Does that feel good? Does it add to it? Is it fun? Does it energize you and restore you? Or does hands to heart? Taking a moment to notice the difference. Perhaps if your arms are up, make a fist and stretch them. Lower hands to heart, draw your knee forward and shake it out. And you can either come to the face your mat sideways, the long ways. We're going to come into goddess pose and wide angle pose, or you can come off your mat. You choose. Widen your feet into the wide angle pose. And I suggest bringing your arms out and have your feet underneath your arms. Bring your hands to hips. Hinge at the waist and fold forward. Hands will touch the earth, hopefully, fingertips. If they don't, grab a block or a book, or you can have a chair or a couch in front. That can also feel good. Notice your feet here. Turn the sides of your feet to be parallel to the front and back of your mat. And take a moment to find steady here. Feet steady on the earth. Your belly engaged, back is mostly flat. Engage your inner thighs, wrapping them medially. Engage your rear end. Notice what happens to the rest of your legs when you do. And slowly bend elbows. Walk hands between your legs behind you if you can. And sink in. Release your head and neck, shaking it, loosening it in all directions. And breathe here upside down. It feels awkward. But noticing the shifts, it's literally a reset when you come into an inversion. If your body doesn't like this or you have high blood pressure and it feels bad, you can come to the flat back and you'll get many of the same benefits. But inversions in yoga are designed to be a physiologic reset and a perspective reset. So if ahead you feel like you need that, notice it. Bring your hands back to center in front of your feet slightly. Bend your left knee and we'll shift over to the left knee, bending it fully. Straight your right leg and let your toes reach up to the sky. If you want to use the block here, you can. Or you can be folded. You choose. Let it be purposeful though, not a collapse. Point those toes and flex them, wiggle toes. And we will shift up, back to center, bend the right knee and straight the left. Let your legs wake up here. Energy shifts and being kind to your knees. If you can't bend this low, you can stay up and do a more active, higher pose where your quads will notice. Come back to center. Let go of the block. Turn the soles of your feet, the sides of your feet to be parallel to the front and back. Walk your right hand to the left ankle and reach that left hand to the sky. Twist. You'll notice the back of the left leg make some noise here, shift energy, and we'll walk and switch sides. Left hand comes to right ankle, twist your right hand to the sky in both directions. Coming back to center. Heel toe your feet in, maybe 2 heel toes, maybe 1 for some of you. We're going to bend our knees, bring hands to hips, and come up to a goddess pose. You may need to readjust your feet once you lift up. Sinking your hips down. Knees are bent. Knees should be directly over your ankles. Being really kind to the knees and have a bit of a bounce, engaging your thighs, sinking downward, and notice your torso. Grow it tall to the sky. Reaching arms up, bring them into a cactus shape. Draw your elbows back and breathe. Wiggle fingers. Right heel raises if that works for you and lower it down. And left heel raises and lower it down. Lower elbows to your waist. And back up. Lift up both heels and have a little wiggle wobble here if you need. Wiggle your fingers, lower your heels, lower your hips, sinking down. Elbows come to your waist and shoot up into that 5-point star because it feels good. Lower your arms to shoulder height. Turn the left toe to the front of the mat. Turn the back toe to be pigeon-toed. Reach forward, drop into Trikonasana. Left hand comes towards your ankle. Right hand reaches to the sky. Gaze upward. Enjoy it. Notice if this gives you energy. Rising back up. Turn the left toe to face the long edge of the mat. Right toe to face the back of the mat. Arms still at shoulder height. Tip into Trikonasana on this side. You can use a block or just gaze up. Reach that left hand as tall as you can. And breathe. Rise up using that waist. Turn your hips to face center. Bring your hands to your hips. Heel toe your feet together a little bit more and sink back down into that goddess pose and have a bounce. Your hands can be on your hips. Draw your elbows back and puff your chest forward. Hips sink down. Lift up your toes this time. Lower them down. Straighten your knees. Release your hands and we'll come forward and shake it out because that's fun. Bring your feet to be hips width. Pick up all 10 toes, lifting them up, rooting them downward. Send your roots downward, shift your weight into your toes and lift up high. Noticing the wiggles and the wobbles, which is how we often feel in life. And bring your hands to heart center. Notice the steadiness that comes using your resources, pressing into the sternum as you're lifting up. Slowly bend your knees and lower down to where it works for you. Some of you will come all the way down. Some of you will stay mostly upright. It doesn't matter. Drawing your energy inward to the thumbs and the sternum for balance. Palms, let them be a helper. Looking for the helpers and the things that help. Engage your belly on them wherever you've landed and slowly rise up. Let your legs come alive. Noticing the strength you have. Lower heels down. Lift up your toes and lower them down and lower hands and shake it out. Roll it out. Roll your shoulders. Take a moment here standing. Come into Tadasana or mountain pose. And close your eyes. And notice. Notice how you feel. What feels good. And how even a short practice of yoga can shift things. They can shift energy. And we'll open our eyes, come back together. And I would like to come into yogi squat before we lie on our backs. It is one that just reminds you of who you are and sort of a deeply energetic connecting pose. Come into whatever version you need. If you need to sit on a block, you can do that. Some of your heels will touch the floor, some won't. Elbows can come into the inner knees. Palms come to heart center here. And take a moment in your yogi squat to close your eyes and connect to that very base of your spine in the pelvic region. We call it the root chakra. And the root chakra is where we connect to our sense of safety. Food, shelter, air. Taking a moment to bolster, support, and energize that safety center. Recognizing that in this moment, you are safe. In this moment, we are connected to a huge web of people who show up with love, compassion, support, kindness. They're out there. And when that squat feels complete, lower hands, shoot your hips up, release, have a sway, release your back with kindness. Swaying from one side to the other. Pause in stillness. Let your head fall even further. Shaking your head yes and no. Lifting up all 10 toes. Lower them down. Lower your hands. Engage your belly. Using your strength, inner strength and center. Reaching arms out and up. Palms come together. Slight arch back. Drift those hands to heart center. Press them into the sternum. Wishing yourself well and everyone else well. Taking a moment to recalibrate, letting the blood flow land, feeling centered and steady and tall standing. Release your hands and we'll come to lie down. And when you arrive, notice what feels good to you. Do you want your knees bent straight? Notice the floor underneath you, the earth underneath you. And take a moment to appreciate all the other people who are lying on the earth right now, sharing the earth with you, their energy going into the earth, shared with yours. Wiggling fingers, toes. Notice your sacrum on the floor. Bend both knees and hug them into you, giving yourself a huge hug, as tight in a ball as you can. Tight, 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 tight. Squeeze your face tight. And relax. Lower feet to the floor. Reach your arms long above you. Palms face the sky. Stretching long, knees are bent. Bend one knee to 90 degrees and the other knee to 90 degrees and bring your knees together, ankles together, big toes together. Raise your arms to 90 degrees. Coming into that reverse table or dying bug. Find your center once again. Big inhale. Exhale, stretch left leg and right arm long. Inhale, come back. Exhale, stretch the opposite way. And do 3 or 4 here, slowly, pausing at either end like it's an elevator. People are getting off and coming back to center. No rush, taking your time, stretch. Connecting to your center, to your wisdom, to your inner strength. Noticing how you are resourced on the inside and the stability of your sacrum. Come back to center. Lower one leg and then the other. Lower one arm and then the other by your hips. Walk your heels towards you. Lift up to a bridge pose. Release your back. Shimmy your shoulders underneath you. Walk your feet maybe an inch closer to the front of the mat. Lift up your toes, coming onto your heels. Lift your hips up high. Shimmy a little farther underneath you. Lower your toes, come onto your toes and lift up your heels. Come back to have this whole sole of your foot on the floor. Walk your feet back an inch and maybe a little closer to each other. Untuck your shoulders, staying lifted. Raise your right leg to the sky, knee bent, and lower it down. Notice your opposite hip and hold it up. Big breath in. Exhale, raise the left knee 90 degrees and lower it down. Lift up both hips again. Huge breath in here. Untuck shoulders even more and unroll inch by inch by inch by inch by inch. Your sacrum will land flat on the floor and take a moment to arrive and to melt. And to rock your head side to side if there's any neck gripping there. Place hands on the floor, pick up your hips, shift them about 6 inches to the left, draw your knees in, twist to the right. Right hand lands on left thigh, and your left arm can come up in a T or a cactus or by your side. Do what your shoulder would prefer. You might try also raising your left hand high above your head here. Notice how that feels. Release the right hand, roll back to center, bend both arms into that cactus to stabilize you, or a T. Square your hips on the floor, find a flat sacrum and a flat shoulders. Pick up your hips 6 inches to the left, draw your knees in, and tip twist to the left. You may need to restack your hips here. You'll bring left hand to right thigh, and your right arm can reach to the sky, which will be less of a twist, more of an armpit stretch. A T, which will be more of a pec stretch, or a cactus, or a T, you choose, or by your side. Take a minute to notice what feels most nourishing, restorative to you. Release the left hand, come back to center, re-square the hips, and we'll come into Supta Baddha Konasana, knees apart, soles of the feet together, hand to heart, hand to belly. And take a moment here while you nourish yourself to set that intention about how you'd like to move forward. With peace, with calm, with clarity, with buoyancy, like a lighthouse, experiencing some joy while you work for better. Taking time to care for your nervous system. Maybe it's intentional nervous system care. Potentially it's taking time to work on your mindset, ongoing, 1% at a time, little by little. If there was ever a time that we need to attend to and invest in ourselves, it might be now. So what would that look like for you? Is it community? Is it nature? Is it movements? Is it healthy eating, nourishing yourself well? Is it nourishing the planet? What nourishes you? Taking in a big deep breath and a huge out breath. You can stay here for Shavasana if you wish, or bring your knees together and stretch your legs long. Let your body guide you. There is not a right place to be for Shavasana. Inviting here a few moments of rest and restoration. Take in a big deep breath wherever you are. And a huge out breath, softening into the mat, the floor, letting go of control of the breath, letting go of control of your body and your muscles. Taking a few moments here on purpose to rest, to restore, to rejuvenate, renew, reset, recalibrate, re-energize. Letting yourself soften in. Shavasana. For anyone who wishes to stay longer, today would be a great day to do so. And for those of you who feel complete, gently deepen your breath. Slowly begin to wiggle fingers and toes. And enjoy a delightful stretch. Making sure to take time to experience joy, even as you work for better, whether it's on your body, the world. And take your time coming up in a kind and nourishing and healing way to a seat. When you arrive, find your sit bones and your roots, sending your roots downward and out to everyone here in this community and to all of the communities that you find nourishing, sending good thoughts, good wishes, energy, positive healing energy. And bring a hand to heart, hand to belly, double hands to heart, whatever feels good to you. Or if your hands prefer to be on your thighs, do that. Letting this last few moments be a nourishing practice for you. Taking a moment to acknowledge yourself for showing up. Taking a moment to acknowledge all of those others who've shown up in community with us. Remembering that as we move forward, we are moving forward together in community. Empowered with many, many resources and tools to help support us. Remembering to engage with them, invest in them, take the time, prioritize them, so that we can all show up as our highest, wisest, and best selves as we move forward. May we all be safe. May we all be well. May we all take time for connections, restoration, recalibration, resetting, renewing, reminding ourselves of our resources. The light in me honors and reflects the light in each and every one of you. May we all move forward, shining our lights near and far. Have a beautiful day, a beautiful week ahead. Namaste.